All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is May 10th. We got ourselves a Friday. Happy Friday to everyone out there, and a full MLB slate to dive into in today's video. FYI, it's actually Thursday still as I'm recording this. We were traveling for the weekend yet again. I know we've been on the road pretty much what seems like every weekend for the last 2 months. But nonetheless, it is what it is. We're still going to get the videos out and grind, but I am recording this in advance because we will probably be on a flight by the time you guys see this video tomorrow on Friday. But nonetheless, happy Friday as I'm telling you this, and I could feel the Friday vibes even late on a Thursday night. But like I said, 15-game MLB slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the side. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, all of my final plays will be in the pinned comment. If you do want to fade me, or if you want to ride with me, those plays are going to be in the pinned comment. In terms of tonight for me, but last night as you guys watch this, we have an unconcluded or non-concluded card here because some of the games are still going on. But we're 2-0-1 so far. Diamondbacks and Reds. That one looked good, and then the 7th inning and beyond happened, and a bunch of runs came in. But Twins first 5, and then the over in that game cashed with ease. So we'll take those, and we'll see how Ben Lively and Reed Dietmers do as the night goes on. But guys, one thing we do have the answer on, and it's the ride of the day from yesterday. Big old womp womp here. Hate to do it to you, Don D, but Keaton Winn under 5.5 hits allowed. Now, albeit it was a plus money play, so let's throw that there. Give that the respect it deserves. But Winn, he might want to change his name to Keaton Loss. He threw 3 innings, let up 7 runs on, I think it was 8 hits. Not his best start whatsoever. But again, it was a plus money play, but ultimately a ride of the day loss. So shout out to Don D for the attempt here. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it is simple. Just use hashtag ride of the day in the comments. I'm jumping on board with one person's pick, giving you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. And if you win, we continue to ride with your picks. I also shout you out over on my Twitter at FGuyBoston. That'll be rotating throughout the show. In fact, boom. There it is, at FGuyBoston. Make sure to go ahead and follow me there. Let's go ahead and jump into the slate. Like I said, we're recording this the night before, so we may be missing some information like this game. It's the only game that we don't have odds for or anything like that. We're looking at Pittsburgh taking on Chicago, but nonetheless, we can kind of, make lemonade out of these lemons. Jared Jones supposedly on the mound for Pittsburgh, and then on the mound for the Cubs, I've seen multiple sites saying 2 different things. Either Javier Carne Asada or Jameson Taillon. So either one, it's not necessarily going to impact my decision here. Just looking at our dashboard, this is a spot in which both offenses look like they're struggling against right-handed pitchers, right? Whether you're looking at them on the road, this is all last 30 days, so just straight up against righties last 30 days, on the road last 30 days, on the, at home against righties. This is not really a spot in which I think either offense is going to have a strong output. So I'm going to look at the pitchers and say, you know what, Jared Jones has made a fan out of me. I think that he has a good game today. So I'm going to lean towards Pittsburgh. Again, we don't know what the odds are. We don't even know what the total is, but I'm going to lean towards Pittsburgh as well as the under. If the under's right around, 8.5 or something like that, I'll look at the under. If it's at 7.5, I'd probably end up passing on it, even though I would still lean under. But that's obviously just a little bit sweatier of a number. But yeah, give me Pittsburgh as well as the under. And in fact, we can talk about it now. You guys have been crushing the likes on these videos, right? And this is our MLB dashboard that we put a lot of time and effort and work into creating and bringing to you guys each and every day. My plan was to release it just to the ballers, the members on the channel, but I keep giving you guys like goals and you keep crushing them, so we'll run it back. Let's go 550 likes on today's video. If you guys hit that, for tomorrow, this dashboard will be free again. I keep putting the link in the pinned comment. It just has a bunch of tabs of all the games to help you kind of start your research off on the right foot, breaking down all of the, I guess you would say, the big rock sort of things when looking at a game. So 550 likes. Let's see if you guys can run it back and crush that. But let's move on to the next game here. Detroit taking on Houston. Right now, Detroit underdogs in this spot at plus 112. Neither team looked all that great in their previous series. Detroit against Cleveland loses 2 of the 3, and then Houston wins yesterday, but loses 2 of the 3 against the Yankees. And their offense, for a team that really relies on their offense, it's been a little shaky as of late. If we dive into the dashboard, you'll see that Houston only has a 25% hit rate when it comes to winning games on the road. And honestly, Casey Mize, Framber Valdez as probable pitchers. Again, anything can change. I'm not going to keep saying that over and over again, but just note we are, hours ahead of when we normally would record. But Valdez on the mound, he's going to throw a lot of sinkers. He's not having the best of seasons in the first place, but he's going to throw a lot of sinkers, and that happens to be one of the pitches down here that Detroit has a really good rank in terms of runs above average. So I do think this could be a spot in a lane where you can make the case for Detroit. In fact, look at them against lefties at home in the last 30 days. Number 1 in average, number 4 in WRC plus, number 3 in on-base percentage, 4 in OPS, 10th in ISO, and 4th in slugging. So yeah, I think we lean towards Detroit here in this spot. I don't really love Casey Mize, but I know that Detroit's going to have a better bullpen. You can kind of see that very easily here with the green. So yeah, give me Detroit as well as a potential peek at the over. Trusting these numbers, and then I'm also looking at these starters saying there could be some runs let up here. I think Valdez, based on his expected FIP, is due for a little progression, but I still think that this one could get to maybe 5-4 or something like that. But I like Detroit on the money line probably as my number 1 pick in that spot. And then no player props have jumped out yet. Again, we don't have as many player props available to us. A lot of them haven't even come out yet. But keep an eye on the pinned comment, guys. If we see any player props that we find value in, or if I start working on the plane and we find any, I'll throw them in the pinned comment, and you guys can check them out there if you do want to have any, if there's any plays added, I should say. All right, Tampa Bay taking on the Yankees. So we still have a TBD in terms of who's pitching for the Yankees. It may be, Schmidt or Rodon, I guess. I know Rodon probably, he pitched 2 days ago. So I'm thinking this could be a Clark Schmidt because he pitches after Stroman, right? If I'm not mistaken. So assuming Clark Schmidt is on the mound for the Yankees here, he's a righty. Tampa Bay, middle of the pack offensively right now, like they're nothing much to trust. Taj Bradley on the mound for them, who we have not seen make a start this season yet. His last 5 starts, he's got a 3.2 ERA, nothing crazy, nothing all that terrible though. But the Yankees offense, especially coming off of a loss yesterday against Houston, I do expect to be able to bounce back against right-handed pitchers. 3rd best average last 30 days, and then WRC plus 2nd. K percentage 3rd, walk rate 2nd, on-base percentage 2nd, OPS, ISO, and slugging all 2nd. And in fact, it doesn't change even when they're on the road here, right? With a 60% win rate when on the road as well. So I think the Yankees are going to be the move here. It's a matter of whether or not we can get to the number there. Right now, I think they're minus 135, which by the time we bet this or even make it a final play, we might even see like a longer or a shorter number. So keep an eye on the pinned comment, but I could see the Yankees winning this one. The problem is, and I know you guys are saying, hey, it's okay, you can still do it. The problem is, like I say, I lean Yankees, but we got a few more days that I already said we can't bet them. So for your sake, sure, we like the Yankees, but now that I even say that out loud about potentially getting them at a nice price or whatever, we're not going to do that because they're on the DNB right now. So unfortunately, I guess, if you want to bet the Yankees, go ahead. I'm a man of my word. I can't. What I will consider is taking a peek at that over. Even in yesterday's game for the Yankees here against Houston, they didn't really pop off. But prior to that, they had 10, 9. Their last 2 games against Detroit, they scored 5 in each of those. So if they can go out there and give you 5 or 6 runs, I think that we have an over on our hands for sure. So Yankees as a lean, not going to bet it, and an over potential play. But maybe we look at Yankees run line, right? Is that allowed in the DNB? I'm not sure, but maybe we could loophole it there. All right, guys, before we do jump into the rest of the slate, it's May 10th at the time of you watching this, meaning our Gambler 2.0 collection is now live here. We have the logo boxy tee. We have the Super Comfort hoodie, which by far and away my favorite product we've ever made. Like maybe my favorite sweatshirt out of all, not even just Fade Me gear that we have, right? The Gambler, the classic hat there. I said the Campbells. The Gambler classic hat here. I'm rocking the navy one right now. We got this hat on. And then the boxy tee with the embroidered logo there. Guys, if you have messed around, messed with us and what we're doing here on the channel for a while and haven't picked up any merch or copped anything yet, I think this is the product to go and do so. This has legitimate sellout potential. It's by far the most limited drop that we've produced, as well as the best quality product that we've come up with. So go ahead and check it out. Again, this sweatshirt is amazing. This hat, obviously nice and classic, and these tees fit really well. I'm wearing the embroidered one right now, in fact. there is the shirt that I'm wearing. Go check it out, guys. Again, fademe.store. I'll have the link in the pinned comment as well, but if you've been rocking with me for a while, I ask you to go check out this drop, because this stuff I do think could go, which is really cool to think about. But very, very simple, neutral colors, but some of the best quality that we've actually made. So go check it out, fademe.store. It'll be right there on the homepage, but I'll also put a link in the pinned comment. Pick some up, guys. I don't think you'll regret it. Go check it out. All right, next game up, we have Baltimore taking on Arizona. This one was a little difficult for me. Baltimore has Cole Irvin on the mound, who I'm not the biggest of fans of, but he's been pitching okay, right? 1.07 whip, 2.86 ERA, 3.32 FIP, going up against Brandon, who's the probable pitcher. He's not confirmed yet, but Brandon Fedrat for Arizona here, 4.61 ERA, 1.2 whip, though, with a 3.26 FIP, so that's pretty good. And I was thinking Baltimore all the way until I looked at the dashboard and I was like, holy crap, Arizona demolishing lefties last 30 days. First in average, second in WRC plus. Like, I do think that this could be a lane to get to Arizona. Now, are you going to sit there and be like, well, when you think about it, this is a Orioles team that's kind of cooking offensively. They had one off game against Washington, but prior to that, it was I want to say, what, 11 runs, 7 runs. Like, this is a damn good offense. So, but Arizona's is too against lefties. So I think that because of the odds, and right now you can get Arizona for plus 130, that may be our move. It's definitely going to be our lean. But I say that in the same breath, I say, I understand if someone's on Baltimore, right? Like, they are the better team, technically better pitcher as well, right? Like, they should be the better, the go-to play. But I think for the price, you might have some value in taking a chance on Arizona here. Even just given the fact that, if that's going to throw a lot of fastballs, that's not a Baltimore pitch that they crush. A lot of sliders, that's not a pitch that they crush. Sinkers, that's not a pitch that they crush. Like, it's go back to the dashboard to reference it. Like, really interesting that the 3 pitches that are his 3 main pitches are the fastball, slider, and sinker. It's like the 3 pitches that Baltimore doesn't absolutely stomp. Whereas you have Cole Irvin, fastball, cutter, sinker. Like, a lot of these pitches are pitches Arizona hits well. So for what it's worth, I think we might run with the underdog there, Arizona. It would probably be a first 5 play because this Baltimore bullpen, I do think, is head and shoulders above Arizona. From a total perspective, give me the over. I'm not trying to bet against Baltimore or saying that, if that's going to shut them down or anything. I think they have really good bats and can get some timely runs. So, yeah, I'll take the over 8.5 here as well in this one. But I don't know. The more I talk about it, the more I almost convince myself to run with Arizona on the money line. First 5 money line. All right, Toronto taking on Minnesota. Yusei Kikichi's on the mound for Toronto. Joe Ryan on the mound for Minnesota. 2 pitchers pitching very, very well. But this Minnesota lineup has been batting very, very well, where Toronto has kind of been in the in limbo there. And we just saw Minnesota hit the over themselves against the Mariners earlier today, or yesterday for you guys. So I think I'm going to ride that sort of hot hand, trust Joe Ryan in this spot, and just know that, Kikichi's going to throw tons and tons of fastballs. Minnesota's been cranking fastballs lately, so I like them. I think that they have a better bullpen as well. So probably going to be a spot where we look at the first full game. And the fact that this is even odds right now, it's probably because you're going from Minnesota to play in Toronto, so that could affect them. But I just can't really get myself to Toronto here. So I think by default, we're looking at Minnesota. Total sitting at 7.5. Why not lean towards the over? Like, both these pitchers are good, and I think that's why the number is where it is. But if you ask me, this Minnesota offense has been pretty impressive lately, and I still believe that Toronto has some bats in that lineup that can definitely put up some runs. And 3 of the last 4 games they've played, they've scored 5 or more. So, yeah, I'll lean towards the over here as well, which I feel like we're taking a lot of overs as of right now. Got me shaking in my boots. The first game we leaned under, though. I know that. Mets taking on the Braves here. The first thing that caught my eye is the fact that we do have a lefty on the mound for the Mets, Quintana, right? Atlanta loves hitting lefties, and throw in the fact that this total's down at 7.5. They're really putting a lot of stock into both Quintana and Charlie Morton, who's on the mound for Atlanta. Whereas I think these offenses are 2 of the more, better stories. So I am going to lean towards the over. I don't have a weather update or anything. Maybe that's partially the reason as to why this number is where it is. I think wind's going to be blowing in, but again, like we're talking literally 12 hours from now when this actually happens, or actually almost 24 hours, never mind 12. So I don't know if we're going to have the weather in our back pocket type of thing. But nonetheless, assuming it's not terrible, I think I lean towards the over. I'm also going to consider Atlanta here. I think you're getting him at a fair price, minus 140. If it goes any beyond that, like, I don't think that I pull trigger. But Atlanta and the over are going to be my leans in this one. All right, Miami taking on Philadelphia. Philadelphia has been just absolutely crushing for us. They lost the last time we took them in the first 5, but today I think we could run it back to some degree. The problem is I don't think we're going to get very good odds for that whatsoever. In fact, if I could try and pull this up very quickly here. So first 5 innings on the run line, yeah, we're looking at minus 120. That's not terrible. So that might be something that we could consider. Philly minus 0.5 for the first 5. Ranger Suarez on the mound going up against Trevor Rogers. I'll take Ranger Suarez all day long. And this Miami offense obviously just kind of struggling. So yeah, give me Philly in the first 5 run line. In terms of a total, I'll lean towards the under just because I think Suarez is going to have a decent day. And I don't know if Miami really puts a big number up against them. So the Phillies may go out there and get to Rogers as well as the bullpen, which could kill us here. But I still like the under overall just because I think it's going to be a one-sided, lopsided affair. I have Boston taking on Washington. I don't think this one's as, that worth it to go into. Tanner Houck's having an incredible season. He's pitching for Boston going up against Patrick Corbin, who's having literally a terrible year. So give me the Red Sox, but they'd have to be in some sort of a parlay. I cannot say that they are worth minus 200 or beyond. Not at all. But I don't even know if they're as safe to throw into a parlay, but I can't even make an argument to get to Washington here other than if you're going to tell me, well, the Red Sox, one, just aren't all that good, which I'd give you a little bit of credit there. But two, if you want to say, well, plus 180-ish could be worth the flyer in this case. But then you're not talking analytics, advanced analytics, you're not talking anything other than price, and I just can't get there. In terms of the total, 8.5, I think I'm going to lean towards the under. We know that Washington has had some big games, not necessarily them offensively, but letting up a lot of runs. But Tanner Houck is dealing right now, and I don't expect him to let up a bunch of runs. So give me the under in this spot as well. All right, Chicago taking on Cleveland. Garrett Crochet on the mound for Chicago. His ERA looks terrible. It does. But his WHIP's 1.01. His FIP is a 3.9 with an expected FIP of 2.9. So decent to see that there. Going up against Carlos Carrasco for Cleveland, who has a 5.7 ERA, 1.6 WHIP, a 5.3 FIP, and a nearly 5 expected FIP. So I do think there's a pitching edge to Chicago here. Are the bats going to be able to come around? Well, at home, they're actually the 7th-ranked team over the last 30 days against right-handed pitchers, so maybe there's something there. They're not striking out all that much either, so I think that there is a case to be made, maybe a slight one, but a case to be made for Chicago. If I were to run with this, though, it definitely would be on the first 5 because the bullpen discrepancy here is massive. Cleveland has a bullpen with the #1 WHIP and #2 ERA, whereas Chicago's second worst WHIP and I think middle of the pack ERA. So I don't really want to trust that bullpen. But yeah, for first 5, maybe I'm crazy. I'll sound the psycho alert alarm, but I might be able to get to Chicago, whether it's, plus 0.5, so plus the run line, or money line. I don't know. I sounded the alarm. I could be crazy. I also don't mind the under here, not necessarily to back the pitching or anything like that, but just to say that, yeah, these bats are not good on either side. Chicago, all we're holding out hope for is that they can score enough runs to win the first 5, but even still, their average is 7th best. I say that in, put a feather in the cap when talking about the money line, but everything else, any power numbers or anything like that, like they're super, super low still. So still going to grind to get runs in this one. All right, Milwaukee taking on St. Louis right now, 5th inning in this one. Milwaukee's up 5-1. Sonny Gray didn't necessarily come out firing. He has 5 earned runs on 5 hits through 4 innings, so not the best there. Today we have Lance Lynn on the bump going up against, I don't think we actually have a pitcher yet. Let me confirm that for you. I don't think we have a pitcher yet for Milwaukee, but I'm trying to see if we have any update. Robert Gasser. I don't know too much about him, but nonetheless, Milwaukee against righties. Lance Lynn doesn't really scare me at all. I think that Milwaukee's probably ultimately our play here, just given the fact that even if they don't have a great pitcher on the mound, if you compare offense to offense, I think Milwaukee obviously has a little bit of an edge here, especially up against a right-handed pitcher, and you're getting decent odds, -110. So I'll lean Milwaukee. Total at 8.5. though we have a kind of a barn burner going on right now through, what, 4 innings in real time for this game number 1, I think this one's an under type spot. I don't necessarily see St. Louis necessarily competing all that much. And even when I say Milwaukee's offense is good, like if they cap out at 4 or 5, it's still going to be tough to get to 9, especially if I think they're going to win the game. Colorado taking on Texas. Texas is also a team that is on the do not bet list right now. I'm not going to lean towards Colorado, but what I would consider, and though it didn't really, ring true today, which I guess it kind of did, we still were able to fade the altitude, but that game finishes 9-1, so it would have been a push. But I think I'm going to lean towards the under 10.5. This Texas offense, I don't necessarily think is what it has been, and they're going up against Austin Gomber, who I know lets up so much and so many hits and all that, and he still have a job, but Texas is not the best against left-handed pitchers. So the way that I'm kind of backing Texas here, I guess in a sense, is saying Colorado I don't think is going to score a lot of runs. Texas's offense, definitely not the Texas offense that we're used to. John Gray's on the mound. I think that we get an under 10.5, because even if Texas does win, right, I know they're on the do not bet list, but the loophole here is I think that they can kind of smush, Colorado and keep them down. So who cares what Texas scored if I think, one team is not going to really contribute all that much to the scoring here. All right, Angels taking on Kansas City. This game is yet to begin, or they're about to begin actually in this series, but we're looking at tomorrow, but for you guys, today's game. And we should have Griffin Canning on the mound for LA, going up against Alec Marsh. Marsh's numbers are interesting to me. He's got a 3.26 FIP, which is nice, but he's got a 4.5 expected FIP, so clearly due for a little regression here. The bullpen also isn't exactly great for Kansas City, but I believe they have the better offense, so I'm going to lean Kansas City. I'm not sure we can get for a price as of right now. I've seen a couple like 115s float around, but that's fair with me. I'll lean towards them, and I think I'm going to look at the over here in this spot because, like I said, kind of focusing on the bullpens, really not good bullpen. So even if they can, get to a, I don't know, maybe call it a 3-2 in the middle of the game, right, which is nowhere near hit 9, I think we could see some late scoring from both these teams, kind of fading the bullpens. All right, San Diego taking on the Dodgers. I'd love to try and figure out a way to get to San Diego because they do play the Dodgers really, really well, right? But this Dodgers team is kind of on one right now. Sweeping Miami, they swept the freaking Braves. They took 2 of 3 against Arizona. And San Diego has been kind of going win-loss, win-loss, win-loss overall. And Tyler Glasnow's on the mound for LA, going up against Michael King. So I like the over just because it is set at 8, and I think it's a little bit low for a San Diego team that's been hitting righties well, even though it is Glasnow. But even the Dodgers, like, they should be able to get to Michael King for sure. So I'm going to lean towards the over as well as the Dodgers in this spot. The only issue is the Dodgers, even playing a team that definitely can beat them, have a really tough price at -165 right now. So that's going to be a tough number to swallow. But nonetheless, I think the over is going to be my move. I think that the Dodgers score a decent amount against King, and then I think we can only hope for San Diego to stay in the game, because even if this is like, picture it being a 6-4 game or 6-3, and the Padres kind of just contribute, but the Dodgers do their thing, and we're still over 8, right? So I like this spot for an over. I had Seattle taking on Oakland. We don't have a pitcher for Seattle yet, but we do have Paul Blackburn on the mound for Oakland, who is definitely, I don't want to say making a name for himself. Obviously, baseball fans do know who he is, but definitely pitching well on a bad team. He had the one bad start against Baltimore, and then the Yankees. Those are back-to-back starts. But other than that, the dude's been pretty damn impressive all season long. And like I said, we don't know who's on the mound for Seattle yet. I've seen rumors or projections that it's going to be Brian Wu, which, if you remember, Brian Wu is what we called him last year. So that could be interesting, but I'll honestly consider backing Oakland here, just given the fact that they're plus money, they have their stud on the mound, and the Mariners, like, they're not looking all that tremendous lately. They had a big run game. It was like 10 or 11 runs against Minnesota. But other than that, they've barely sniffed 3 runs for the rest of their surrounding games. So, yeah, I don't love Oakland. I'm not trying to tell you that. But I do think backing Paul Blackburn here could kind of be a spot in which we don't necessarily hate it. So give me them, as well as a potential look at the under 7.5. All right, and then our last game of the night. I know we kind of flew through this, but I got to get up early tomorrow, get on a plane, and we still have to record our NBA videos. So that's what I'm feeling right now, just a womp womp. But we got San Francisco taking on Cincinnati. This Cincinnati offense is just, It's bad. It's bad. They got Andrew Abbott on the mound today. They did score, was it 4 runs? Yeah, 4, because we had the under in that one and it pushed. So 4 runs against Arizona, but I'm not seeing anything trustworthy. But then you look at San Francisco, and it's like, I don't really see them being all that trustworthy either. And their price tag's massive, -162. So I think I'm just going to say fade the bats. Give me the under 7.5, and then maybe I could say, all right, hell, roll with Cincinnati because it's +140. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really love either side here because it's like betting on someone's different than taking the under, and it's kind of betting against both teams and, like, you know, kind of a diplomat there. So I like that spot, but again, it's a low-ish number, and we don't even know who's on the mound for San Francisco. I'm hoping it's Webb. That'd be nice because I think that he'll help suppress that Cincinnati offense for that under, but nonetheless, I'll lean towards the under and then maybe consider Cincinnati on the money line just because the price doesn't make sense for San Francisco. But guys, that is going to wrap for today's show. Again, go cop some Gambler 2.0 collection. Like, I'm so proud of this drop, and hopefully it's successful, and, you know, our next one and the next one after that. Like, a lot of work goes into the FadeMe.store division of our business, right? So really cool to see drops like this come to life. So go check it out, and we'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.